Welcome to the Geek 101 podcast, episode 267, DC Fandome. I'm Vengeance. Actually, I'm Ariel Rada.
And I'm Batman. I'm Andy.
And today we are just talking about all the news that came out during the DC Fandome event. We called it an audible. We were supposed to do Scott Pilgrim as our ultimate episode for Geek 101. Instead, it will still be that, and the DC Fandome will be our penultimate episode. We wanted to be flexible because there was a chance that DC Fandome could have been super lame, and it wasn't, thankfully.
For the most part.
Yeah. Real quick, Andy, was this more exciting than Comic-Con?
Yes, I think it was. I think with Comic-Con this year, there weren't any real announcements.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The stuff I remember from Comic-Con are all the Amazon trailer drops, really.
Right, the TV stuff. I think from now on, these individual company events have the potential to be better than any quote-unquote Comic-Con event because they're the ones bringing the great news anyway.
Right.
And now that they keep separating, it's not going to be the same at Comic-Con.
Right. And what's weird about this, though, is half the panels were delayed a month at the last minute.
For Fandome?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, they pretty much just took all their TV stuff and just said, we'll do that in September.
Sure. Okay. So we have one piece of non-DC news. It's big. Actually, we have two. You didn't write this one down, but they're big pieces of news. The first one is we have a Captain Marvel 2 director. Andy, remind me, what is this director's name?
Yes, the director of Captain Marvel 2 will be Nia DaCosta, currently most famous for directing the Candyman reboot.
We have not yet seen the Candyman reboot. By we, I mean, of course, the general public due to the pandemic. This tells me two things. One, that Candyman remake is good. And two, that we will be getting Monica Rambeau's Photon or whatever that her superhero name is, right? We will have like a black woman superhero at the forefront of Captain Marvel 2.
Yeah, I would assume so. Otherwise, I'm fine if we don't get that, but this is really fun. This is really cool to get an even bigger it's a bigger risk with this director than it has been, I think, for any of the other Marvel films.
The first Captain Marvel was directed by Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck.
Right.
That was a bit of a risk.
Right, but they did have a few smaller movies out. Even John Watts, who directed Spider-Man, he had Cop Car.
Okay, let's take a look at Nia DaCosta's. Film. She has two indie. Well, yeah, she has a couple of indie films, and of course, Candyman reboot. But I wasn't super impressed by that first Captain Marvel movie. I thought it was a very very plain superhero origin. And that's okay. But also I thought the action was really bad. I thought it was worse than or on par with Guardians of the Galaxy, which to me is the worst of all the Marvel action. I'm hoping we get better. I'm hoping we have more character for Captain Marvel because she's been in 2 movies. We don't know anything about her. Right? Not even like a Captain America sense of moral compass, because she has been brainwashed this whole time. She's an empty shell, and I'd love to see something about her.
Yeah, it'd be really cool also to see her relationship with all the other Avengers after coming in and helping at the last second.
Sure. I mean, we know for a fact that she had been around in the 5 years between Infinity War and the main plot of Endgame. So, like, we know, like, she has been around, but she's also, maybe been in space, but she does have relationships with these characters. You're right, Andy. I am curious to see how those will develop and who perhaps will be in the sequel.
Right. And, I just want Ben Mendelsohn in it again.
Sure, yeah. The other piece of news we have here is that Olivia Wilde has been tapped to direct a Marvel Sony film. We are hinted at it being a Spider film. Many people think it is Spider-Woman, perhaps Jessica Drew. I don't know the rights in regards to Jessica Drew. She is not part of the Spider-Man universe. She is only in name. She is much more of an Avenger. She is more closely tied into Captain Marvel than she is to Spider-Man in any way.
Right. Maybe Spider-Gwen.
That's the other option I'm thinking, right? Maybe this is the Spider-Gwen / Ghost Spider movie origin story, perhaps.
Now,
go ahead.
Sorry, I just want to say Olivia Wilde does have a very good sense of directing comedy in last year's Booksmart. I thought that was really, really fun comedy.
Yeah. I've heard very good things. I haven't seen it. It's not exactly in my wheelhouse. Ever since I started teaching with my time kind of being cut. I am interested to see what Olivia Wilde will be doing. But enough about that speculation. We have a lot of news here, Andy, to cover. Why don't we start?
Much news.
Yeah. Why don't we start with the video game side of things? Andy, what was the first video game debuted over at DC Fandome?
All right. The first video game was Gotham Knights. This is... It is a Batman game without Batman. It is trying to figure out... We don't know too much about it. It looks kind of like a Arkham game, a Batman Arkham game, and it was made by the same development studio that made Arkham Origins, the black sheep of the Arkham family.
Yeah.
This takes place in a world post-Batman, and this is not the Arkham world. They were pretty explicit about this.
Right, they were clear, yeah.
And you have basically Barbara Gordon, Batgirl, Nightwing, Red Hood, and probably Damian Wayne. I'm really going to think it's Damian Wayne.
No, it's Tim.
Oh, it is Tim? Okay,
yeah.
That's interesting.
We got that confirmation.
Okay. And it looks like the mantle to protect has been passed down to them, and they are going to be dealing with the Court of Owls.
Yes, we have been told by that studio, which is Warner Brothers Games Montreal, like you said, did Arkham Origins and not Arkham City, Arkham Knight, Arkham Asylum. We are told that it is not just Court of Owls, right? That there's more to it. We do know that one of the first missions will be an excursion against Mr. Freeze. My cousin pointed out that you see numbers over the heads of NPC like villains.
Yep,
right,
this worried me.
So there is a suggestion that certain areas will be leveled, and you can only go to them once you have reached that level. So we are perhaps getting a cross between an Arkham game and an almost arcaded like RPG, like Final Fantasy RPG-esque game.
Right. Well, see, my the conclusion what I'm worried about is this is going to be more of a live service type thing.
I don't think so, because we do know that it is single player or 2-player co-op.
Right. But this could be really cool. This could be a lot of fun. I love, first of all, my wife, when she was like, wait, it's co-op. I already know that I'm going to be playing with her. It it looks like each of the member of the Bat family, they have very different play styles, and I like that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
With Robin having access to the Justice League's satellite so he can kind of teleport around. Batgirl looking like more of a agile Batman. Red Hood being as violent as he is. This looks really cool. I am excited about it. It does look like it might be the response to the Avengers video game.
Yes. I agree. This seems to be that. I'm not certain how. Well, let me say this. The reaction online by Arkham game fans is quite negative. They really want another game in the Arkham mold. You know, that investigatory open world deep dive Batman game. This is a game without Batman. I imagine that each of the 4 characters, besides their unique abilities, will not have much character, and instead it'll be relying on like plot for story instead of individuality. We know that Robin, like you said, has a teleporter. He also has an invisibility cloak technology thing. We don't know what kind of the other abilities are for Nightwing, Batgirl, and Red Hood. So I am curious to see more of it. But I am encouraged by gameplay. It looks like a game that I would enjoy playing.
Yeah, same here. And I'm hoping that the next game that we're going to talk about is one I'll enjoy playing too.
Yeah, so the next game is the Suicide Squad kills the Justice League, and it is exactly as we as it says. Their alpha target, the Suicide Squad's main target, is at least Superman, presumably under control by Brainiac. And I think part of the game will be, we can't kill Superman because it's like a stupid thing to try, and it's impossible. So instead, let's try to break him free from Brainiac so that he can take care of Brainiac. I think that's the plot line that's going to happen. I am sick and tired of the evil Superman trope. What are your thoughts on this, Andy?
Well, I feel the same way as you about the evil Superman trope, because here's the thing. Superman, if he were to try to be evil, everyone would be screwed.
Everyone in the world.
And it's so difficult to take it seriously when you're like, the Superman's evil. You see how he just slowly kills one dude. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's not how Superman would work as evil. I don't think. Like, I don't get it. If Brainiac's whole thing is going to be to try to conquer Metropolis, well, that's going to happen in 2 seconds if he has control of Superman.
Right. It's nonsense. But let's move away from the story and kind of look at what's happening in the gameplay. We know for a fact that this is made by Rocksteady, which is the developing or the game developer who made the Arkham series of games. We know that this is a continuation of the Arkham Knight universe. And I don't know if you caught this, Andy. The way the gameplay works is you are controlling one of the Suicide Squad members. There are Harley, King Shark, Captain Boomerang, and Deadshot. And you can quick change between any of them at any time. All 4 will always be in the world with you, and you can change between them at any time.
I mean, that does sound really, really cool. And the 4 members we discussed, they would each have a very different way of playing, which is cool. I like that.
Yeah, we do know that, Deadshot is very simple to predict what's going to happen. Well, his gameplay. Harley's predictable. King Shark is your bruiser. And what I like about this Captain Boomerang is that they're using the iteration of Captain Boomerang that's like from the future and is one of the descendants of the Flash. So he has bursts of super speed.
Yeah. Like that's cool. Unfortunately, we didn't get any actual gameplay, and it's not coming out till 2022.
That's a bummer.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing with DC in general. I think DC works really well in video games because you're playing as gods and superpowered people, and it's the most fun to do stuff like that with any DC character, right? If you had a good Green Lantern game, that would be really fun.
Yeah, I am interested to see how the gameplay will be. I did like that we got Gotham Knights gameplay, even though that the game is not coming out till next year either. Anything else in regards to any of these two games?
No, let's just hope they're both good.
All right, let's take a look at some film news. We got a little snippet or a quote about Aquaman 2 by director James Wan. He says that it will not be as weird as the first. Or he said it'll be more serious. So, great, I guess. We don't really know much else, right?
Right. The only thing we know is December 2022 is the current release date, which is really weird because of when the next movie we're going to talk about comes out.
Yeah, the next movie here we have Shazam: Fury of the Gods. Andy, what do we know about this movie?
Well, we know that it comes out in November 2022, and that's really about it. I did watch this panel. It was a very entertaining panel. One, because it was on Shazoom, and two, because they kind of made an announcement that Sinbad would be in it.
Brilliant.
Yeah. So Sinbad kind of Zoom bombed the panel to announce that he would be in it because everyone thought he was anyway.
Perfect.
Yeah. I highly encourage watching the panel. It was entertaining. There were a lot of little entertaining snippets here. But that's really all we know about it. I love the idea that Sinbad's going to be in it. I'm interested in the movie. And
we got the name. Judging by the title, it will feature either and the mythological gods that give Shazam his powers. He will be an established hero, losing his powers because the gods rescind their offers to him. Something like that, right? We also perhaps will be getting Black Adam. We don't know. Do we know? Did they say anything?
They did not confirm Black Adam beyond his own movie. They also made a lot of jokes about Shazam being edited into the Snydercut.
Okay. We will talk about both those things in a second. Actually, let's talk about Black Adam now. We did get a animated motion comic panel teaser.
The internet will call this a trailer. It is not a trailer. It is The Rock narrating a little bit of Black Adam's backstory. Yeah. This is like The Rock tapping into his inner wrestler and just hyping himself up.
Sure. We did get Noah Centineo kind of buzz in video to talk with The Rock. He is playing a character called Adam Smasher. Andy, do you know anything about Adam Smasher?
I know zero about Adam Smasher.
Okay, so Adam Smasher has made an appearance in the Justice League Unlimited cartoon. The Atom is you see him in Legends of Tomorrow, right? A character traditionally whose power is to make himself microscopically small. Adam Smasher is his nephew, who is basically a metahuman or a mutant, right? Who has the inverse ability. He can grow like Giant Man.
Okay.
And he takes his name and inspiration from his uncle. So that will be Noah Centineo. We did get confirmation, however, that the Justice Society will be introduced in the Black Adam film. And at minimum, we will get Adam Smasher, of course. Then we'll get Hawkman, Dr. Fate, and Cyclone, who is Andy, do you know anything about those characters, or shall I dive
I
deeper?
I know nothing about Cyclone other than that she's the granddaughter of Red Tornado.
Okay.
Hawkman, I remember being the worst part of both the Justice League cartoon and the first season of Legends of Tomorrow. But
Right.
Dr. Fate, the Order, Fighter of Chaos. I am big into DC's Magic verse, so Dr. Fate, I forgot the dude's name, but it's the helmet, puts it on, he gets controlled by an ancient god. This is awesome.
Yeah, Doctor Fate is, for all intents and purposes, the DC version of Doctor Strange. I don't think we need to say much more than that. Hawkman sometimes is an alien with wings, sometimes is a man with a harness who's a reincarnated Egyptian warrior. I'm guessing we're going to go with the reincarnated Egyptian warrior part of this.
It
which
would
we saw
it would fit the aesthetic of Black Adam.
right. We saw a little bit of that in Legends of Tomorrow. Cyclone does have like wind, tornado powers. I don't know how they are going to introduce that character. Red Tornado, a version of him can be seen, of course, in the Justice League Unlimited cartoon, or Supergirl also had a version of the Red Tornado.
And also in Young Justice.
Okay. The Justice Society of America traditionally has Dr. Fate, has Hawkman. It is the first superhero team. Predates the Justice League, predates the Teen Titans, predates the X-Men and the Fantastic Four. There are several other members who are traditionally in the Justice Society, which will perhaps not be in this. You have Wildcat, who is just a boxer in a cat costume. The original Jay Garrick Flash is part of the original Justice Society. You have the Hour Man, who takes a pill and has superpowers like increased strength and ability for an hour. But, in some iterations, the Justice Society is just as powerful as the Justice League. And I'm curious to see what we will see in the Black Adam film.
Right. This is also one step closer to getting a Zatanna movie, and that's what I want.
Sure. I saw a rumor somewhere that I'm sure is not substantiated in any way, that the actress from The Witcher is like tied to Zatanna. Let me find out her name really quick. Anya Chalotra, who played Yennefer in The Witcher. There was a rumor. I don't know if it's true. I don't think it's substantial in any way.
All right. Well, let's talk about one of the movies that I still can't believe they're trying to get made. The Flash.
Yeah, The Flash. I do not believe this movie is happening until this is a New Mutants / Gambit situation. I will believe it when I see it with my eyes.
All right. Remember, Ariel, this was supposed to come out in February of 2018.
It's a disaster. I'm surprised they're still promoting this because Ezra Miller recently attacked a fan. Did you hear about this?
Yes. So I thought he was canceled. I thought they were just going to kind of downplay and step away from Ezra Miller, but they're not.
Yeah, they're moving forward. One interesting about this, to me, it's actually not that interesting. They are going to establish the multiverse because I'm pretty sure they're going to be trying Flashpoint with this movie. We have confirmation that Ben Affleck will be returning as Batman in this movie. Okay. We also have rumors that Michael Keaton will be making an appearance as a Batman.
You were almost out, Ben. You were so close to being out.
I think we do know that the Flash is getting a new suit. I think he will just be in the beginning. I think I heard this somewhere, this rumor that it's like, oh yeah, he's just in the beginning and he gives the Flash the new suit.
That makes perfect sense.
And it establishes that like this Batman still exists, which makes it so much weirder when we get Keaton's Batman.
Right. Yeah, that that's a good idea. I did see the concept art that has the 1989 Batman in it, and I think it'd be really cool. I think if they're trying to do a multiverse romp or have some jokes, that could really work.
Yeah, I do not like Ezra Miller's version of Barry Allen / The Flash. I think they basically took Sheldon from The Big Bang Theory and turned him into Barry Allen. If you don't believe me, watch an episode of Big Bang Theory and then go watch Justice League. It's awful. And I don't like Flashpoint as an entry point. Does that make sense?
No. Flashpoint is like one of the most convoluted stories. So to just have it as being like, hey, we're having the Flash, when in reality they're just trying to wash their hands of the screw up early on.
Yeah. So I think this movie is going to be a mess. I'm not sure it's still happening. We know that director Andy Muschietti is currently attached, despite a couple of we've had several different directors tied to this. Andy Muschietti is famous for making It and It Chapter 2. Only one of those movies is good. And I famously walked out of It Chapter 2. And anything else on The Flash?
Hey, you know what? I'm sure that this will actually happen on June 3rd, 2022. Without any more... It's 4.5 years after it's supposed to come out.
It's so bad. But you know what's funny is that, like, this is the first thing that I am negative on in this DC, on all of these DC announcements. That's impressive.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to those games. I'm looking forward to Shazam. I'm looking forward to Black Adam, hopefully.
I do think this movie has potential. I just don't think it'll be made.
I agree. I think the most likely scenario is that the movie gets cut entirely, especially with the impending situation regarding Ezra Miller and choking a fan. The videos, like, I don't know what happened to the young lady, right? But the video is hilarious. But anyway, Andy, what is the next piece of news that we're talking about?
We're going to be talking about my personal highlight, even beyond the last thing we'll talk about, the Suicide Squad.
Really? Okay. What excites you most about this?
All right. First of all, if you watch the little clip they have, they make it very clear that everyone thinks that James Gunn is the only person who can direct a Suicide Squad movie well, which is really funny. But really what I like is the giant cast. We knew who was going to be in it. We did not know who they were going to be playing. And now we have our gigantic list of all these character actors and the D rank villains they are playing.
Yes, absolutely. The only A or B rank villains in this are Harley Quinn. That's it? That's it. Just Harley Quinn.
Yep. I mean, you could make it...
Captain Boomerang is, at this point, B level.
Right. You can make that argument. But other than that, every other villain I know almost nothing about. And these are the kind of villains that might be able to get one episode dedicated to them from the Arrowverse.
Right. Yeah. From like The Flash or whatever.
This is perfect.
Let's go through the characters, the actor playing them, and whether or not we think they will survive.
Okay. Let's go with the big one.
Okay. Margot Robbie is Harley Quinn.
She 100%. Clearly survives.
100%. The second biggest one, Idris Elba as Bloodsport. Listen, not Bloodshot, Bloodsport.
Right. I do have the little quip, the little press junket about who he is.
Okay.
He is a convicted felon, armed with the most weapons out of any character in the film. He is serving prison time for shooting Superman with a bullet made of kryptonite.
So we do know that Idris Elba was supposed to come in and replace Will Smith as Deadshot, right?
Yes.
I think they're going to make a joke that they're the same exact person.
Oh, they're probably going to be doing that up and down. Apparently, James Gunn did decide that Warner Brothers and James Gunn eventually decided to have him play a new character, allowing Smith the opportunity to return in a future film.
I just think we're going to get jokes about Bloodsport being like people thinking he's Bloodshot.
Right. We are going to be getting jokes about Bloodsport. We are going to be getting jokes about Joker.
Sure.
We are going to be getting a lot of gags like that.
Yeah. We have John Cena as a ruthless killer known as Peacemaker, who is a kind of dogmatic version of Captain America.
Well, as John Cena also, he used a different word to describe. But yeah, that's great. Have almost like a parody of Captain America going into this.
Does he survive or not?
No,
I agree. He does not survive.
Wait, we didn't talk about Idris.
I think he survives.
Yeah.
I think he survives, and then there's going to be a future film with a joke where there's Deadshot and Bloodsport, and they think they're the same I don't know. It's going to be a dumb joke that I'm not going to find funny, and I'm sure other people will. Joel Kinnaman is Rick Flag. I think he survives.
Yeah, he absolutely survives.
Peter Capaldi, the 12th Doctor, as the Thinker, a supervillain with telepathic abilities. Does he survive, yay or nay?
Oh, no, he does not.
I agree. Wikipedia here has Viola Davis as Amanda Waller. We're not going to count her. Jai Courtney as Captain Boomerang.
Oh,
Returning.
yeah. Survives.
Survive, agreed. Alice Braga as Sol Soria. She's a revolutionary. She's not part of the actual Suicide Squad. Pete Davidson as Blackguard, a mercenary. He's dead.
Dead. Oh, yeah.
Undoubtedly. David Dashmalian, who is, you would recognize him from the Ant-Man films, as the Polka Dot Man.
So dead.
I agree. Michael Rooker as Savant, a computer hacker.
I think he's the first dead.
I don't think so.
Okay. There are two people I think who might die first, and I think Michael Rooker is one of them. But
I think the next person is going to die first. Nathan Fillion as TDK.
Arm fall off boy.
Or Splitter. He, I guess, can remove his limbs and use them as clubs, apparently. I think he's dead first.
Okay.
Daniela Melchior as Ratcatcher 2. I think she survives.
Yes. Yeah. I think it'll be a lot of amusing things, but I think she survives.
I think she has like a gas gun and can control rats. Steve Agee as the voice of King Shark. It's a CGI character.
Now, he also, I really want to point this out, he is doing the motion capture there in the...
It looks, yeah.
It looks so funny to see him just there in this green screen suit.
Yeah, it looks ridiculous. I think he survives.
Okay.
Sean Gunn as Weasel.
See, this is the other one I think would be first dead.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Perhaps. I think Weasel definitely dies.
Yeah. And you get why it's funny that Sean Gunn is playing him, right?
Yeah. Falula Borg, which is strange because I thought that was the actual supervillain name, as the Javelin, a German athlete turned supervillain who wields javelins. He is 100% dead.
Oh yeah,
100%. Mei-Ling Nang as Mongol, who is an alien, and it related to the other alien named Mongol, apparently, who's a Superman villain. So here's something that bothers me. She's the only Asian person in this cast, and just like the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, they love putting the people of color in makeup like colored skin and prosthetics.
Mm.
Ratcatcher 2 is a Hispanic woman, and she's in a mask. Mei Ling Nung is an alien covered in makeup. I'm really annoyed. I don't like James Gunn anymore. His impact has been lost on me since Guardians 1. I'm tired of his shtick already.
I am not. I'm still hopeful, but yeah, I can definitely see what you're talking about. Both of them are.
Yeah, and now listen to this. It is a 1970s war movie about overthrowing a South American government, which means we will have a bunch of white people with guns coming into a South American country and shooting all the brown people.
Yes.
So I'll watch this for the show, right, for the pod, which will be Pop Culturist then. But to me, this does not look like I will enjoy it.
Well, and I want to be hopeful that this is going through with the eye of, first of all, of just showing horrible, American imperialism in other countries, and basically showing how this team is just being sent to just screw with a bunch of brown people.
Yeah, like I can see the satire.
Yeah, but
while you're doing the satire, you're still doing the harm.
Right, you're still doing the thing. I do want to say I think this is the appropriate level of a Suicide Squad mission as far as doing something for the military.
Right, it's not I'm going to try to kill Superman.
Right.
That's not what you send a Suicide Squad to do.
Right. I am wondering if it's I hope so badly that it does not end up to be like Waller did this to plan to get something because a supervillain is in charge and they have to fight the supervillain at the end, and it's a giant glowing gate with an energy beam shooting up.
I mean, I would like if they show like a giant blue beam in the sky and have it be just like it's like, oh, we forgot to turn that light off or something. Like it's just a joke that they just like, oh no, that's not the thing. This is the thing. But the more I look at this, the less I want it. I understand what they're doing. I understand why they got James Gunn. But the more the closer I look, the less I like. But it could still be a fun, rollicking time. I hope this is not just a version of Tropic Thunder.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Because Tropic Thunder wasn't about going to Vietnam to kill people.
Right.
And they barely do that, right? Like, it doesn't really happen. The people who die in that are the filmmakers. So I don't know. But let's talk about.
I do have one question for you, Ariel.
Sure.
How long until we get a Creedence revival song?
Oh, I would actually like if the moment they go over, like they're flying over the jungles of like South America, like it's on the radio and like somebody like shoots the radio or something. Like it's just like, something like that.
It's played way too much. Just it ain't me. Yeah, shut up.
Yeah, or like as they're going over the jungles, like Spirit in the Sky plays. It's so perfect, especially for like, oh yeah, this is a 70s movie.
Yeah. So speaking of music that is used way too much, Ariel.
Oh God.
Way too much. I heard that there was a secret chord
that David played, and I heard it pleased the Lord, Andy.
Oh, well, I don't really care that much for music.
We are, of course, talking about the atrocious use of Hallelujah by Leonard Cohen in the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League. I will say this is my positive for the Snyder cut. Like all Snyder films, it is photographed. If there's no CGI, right? It's photographed beautifully. That's it. That's the only positive thing I can say about this.
I am looking forward to the experiment that is watching this film.
We do know that I think it's a 4-hour cut broken up into 4 parts.
Dude, that is I am so excited to finally see this. I don't think it'll be good. But the trailer was so after the use of Hallelujah during a sex scene in Watchmen, that everyone makes fun of Zack Snyder for doing that. They do this.
It is so... It's really bothersome because he keeps doubling down into how he really doesn't understand his characters at all. He loves to talk about how his characters, how the characters he is directing are gods. Clearly, right? He thinks that they're gods. He thinks that the heroes in Watchmen are gods. And the whole point of both Watchmen and Superman, in different ways, is that they're human beings. You know, it's so frustrating. And he came out where a film critic said, this Snyder Cut, like I watched the trailer and it looks like we're getting the same exact movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then Snyder quote tweeted, I'm like, why don't you go home with your kids and watch Saturday morning cartoons? Because my movie's for adults.
What?
And yeah, he literally said that. And it's just like, dude, you are literally directing a movie about aliens coming to Earth and a man in blue and red tights fighting. You're directing a movie where a guy who can talk to fish. You know, he just doesn't get it, and I hate him so much.
Yeah. Now I have a question for you, Ariel, because the trailer opens up with us getting a shot of Darkseid.
Mm-hmm.
Do we get the Darkseid fight during this cut?
I don't think so.
Yeah, that's weird.
We know we see Black Suit Superman fighting Steppenwolf.
Yeah.
We see the parademons. We get a clunky line about Batman talking about he's never faced us, not united. God, he keeps doubling down. He represents, I think, the worst in fandom and geek culture. And I don't know. I think this movie will be a narrative mess. There is a chance. Here's something. There is a chance that this movie will be more cohesive than the Whedon theatrical version.
Yeah, absolutely. I really also want to mention, it was one of the cool things that I liked was that the trailer was in 4:3 aspect ratio.
Okay.
It's weird. It's just something I didn't expect, but it shows a lot of Snyder. You know, his visual. Again, it's shot well.
Sure.
But, it was just a bunch of random scenes that we didn't get that don't really have finished CGI to them.
The CGI is terrible. Let's talk about that with Darkseid. We get that money shot early. And if you put Thanos, right, side by side with Darkseid, and which is funny because they are, Thanos is based off of Darkseid, and they function identically in their respective universes. I'm currently playing through Arkham Asylum on my computer, right? A remastered Arkham Asylum. The CGI is the same. That game came out in 2009. So Darkseid looks like it came from an '09 video game, as opposed to, and Thanos looks like he teleported into the real world. The CGI was bad in the theatrical cut. The Cyborg CGI is horrendous. Anytime Cyborg is on screen, he looks like he's made out of pixels.
Right. And like the thing is, if you're doing this Darkseid, there's no nuance, there's no ability for an actor to give, a pathos to them, because that was one of the cool things about Thanos, was he had something there.
Yeah. And they spent, a whole movie setting it up. Instead, you are getting Darkseid, you're getting Steppenwolf, and you're getting, I think his name is Desaad. He is one of Darkseid's, advisors, whatever. I don't know. It's not going to be good. It's going to be visually interesting, compared to what's going to happen from the theatrical cut. That's all I can really say. It doesn't look better, right? It doesn't look better. It looks the same. It just looks a little different, and I don't trust that Zack Snyder can make a good movie.
Right. It's also going to be twice as long.
Yeah. Also, the music choice is bad. So bad.
Like, do they not... Does he not realize that we make fun of him because it's a genuinely bad choice to have in Watchmen?
He's the least self-aware director I've ever seen. Like, least self-aware. No, Michael Bay is more self-aware than him. Undoubtedly. Michael Bay knows his schlockiness. And I don't think Zack Snyder knows why we hate his films. Because he has this corner of the internet that emboldens him, that idolizes him for whatever reason.
God, I just want color, and there's no color in this.
Yeah. Let's move on to something that is a little more colorful, that we did get some footage from. The Wonder Woman 1984 dropped a new trailer. The only thing of note new is that we do see Kristen Wiig's cheetah-fied cheetah. Any thoughts, Andy?
I'm just going to quote a tweet I saw. Cats walked so Wonder Woman 1984 can run. Hashtag release the butthole cut of Wonder Woman 1984.
Gosh. I would watch this movie. There are a lot of movies I don't watch if I didn't review them. I'd probably watch this. It looks interesting enough. I don't like the 80s theme. I think I've mentioned that before, but...
Right. I think that was mostly downplayed in the trailer, except for the quip at the end.
Sure. Yeah. So
But October 2nd, supposedly.
But it said in theaters.
Yeah. I guarantee that just depends on how Tenet goes.
Sure. Yeah. Last news here, most exciting news for me, we got a panel with Matt Reeves and the first trailer for The Batman.
Okay, you know what, Ariel? I lied. This is my most exciting thing, too.
Did I sour you on Suicide Squad by pointing out?
You did a little bit. It was stuff I already knew, but also I just keep thinking about how good this trailer was.
Sure, yeah. We know a few things about The Batman. We know that, obviously, Paul Dano is the Riddler, and we know from the trailer that the Riddler will be the main villain. We know that Colin Farrell is wearing a fat suit as the Penguin.
No, he just gained all that weight.
Perhaps, but he looks like Richard Kind.
He does.
Richard Kind and Alfred Molina. You could have just got one of them guys. I don't know why you didn't Colin Farrell. We do see Selena what's her name?
Catwoman? Zoe
Kravitz, thank you. Zoe Kravitz as Selena Kyle. She is, quote unquote, not yet Catwoman.
I like the costume.
Yes, she is a cat burglar. I love the swing to the origin. Matt Reeves had, I think, his panel. I think I am more optimistic because of the panel than I am the trailer. The trailer can be anything, right? Man of Steel had one of the best trailers we've ever seen. The Suicide Squad had a trailer that made us think it was going to be good. It was not. Trailers can fool us. We know that the film is only 30% completed. And they cut together a really great trailer. Matt Reeves talks like he loves Batman. And I mentioned this to you. The previous Batman directors, Tim Burton, Joel Schumacher, Christopher Nolan, I don't think they even like Batman at all. And Zack Snyder. We know Zack Snyder doesn't like Batman. So, I think Matt Reeves understands what makes Batman great. And I think he likes the character and understands what makes that character good in a way that Nolan, Schumacher, and Burton never did.
Yes. From the interviews with Matt Reeves I've seen, I get a very specific feeling, and that is the same feeling I get from when Henry Cavill got to play Geralt.
Mm-hmm.
Like that this is the thing that they want to do. Like there is nothing that really could be offered to these people to make it not worth doing for them.
Yeah, and I love that about it because we've gotten to the point where Batman we're so oversaturated with him that unless you understand what makes that character great, what makes his stories great rather, that we're just going to get another like blah thing. I think even Affleck's Batman movie would have been pretty blah. He doesn't, according to his interviews, he doesn't love Batman. I want a filmmaker to, when they're making a beloved adapted film, I want them to love it the way Peter Jackson loves Lord of the Rings.
Yes, absolutely. You want it to feel like, oh, a nerd is really making this, and they understand why this should be made.
Yes, totally agree. My last thought here, Matt Reeves said, this is Batman in year 2. This is him in the middle of the criminological experiment. I think anytime we get an old, grizzled Batman, to me it always feels off because the intensity with which Batman works does not lend itself to longevity.
Right, he burns out fast.
Yeah, there's always the sense when you're reading a great Batman story that he can die at any time. And when you have an old Batman, I no longer feel that. I no longer get the sense that this is the Batman that I'm so used to in his prime.
Well, and that's what makes specific Batman stories like the Arkham Asylum, the actual comic book, and the game, right? It's Batman going through a entire gauntlet of his villains in one night. He is pushing himself and he's willing to do this, and you think like, oh, this is a kind of normal occurrence for him. That's what makes the Bane storyline so great, because Bane set up all the villains to fight him that night. Like,
mm-hmm. and right, to know that you can push him is part of Batman's core like weakness.
Yeah. I really liked it. I mean the more visceral violence that Batman was able to do in the one kind of action sequence,
mm-hmm.
Punching the guy in Joker makeup, that was really good. I like that a lot, and I loved the design for the Batmobile.
I'm whatever on the Batmobile. I do like the suit.
Yeah,
because it is reminiscent of the Arkham suit.
Oh wait, do we get confirmation that those are the guns?
They very well look like it, Andy. I don't know how they wouldn't be, right? That's a little too emo for me, but I'll live with it. Matt Reeves says that this is inspired and based on 70s street level crime films.
I mean, it feels like it.
It feels like it, right? And that's the difference between basing the Joker off a 70s street level crime film and basing a Batman movie on the 70s street level crime film is that Batman belongs in that setting, and the Joker, you can't make the Joker feel real. Right?
Right. No. The Joker is larger than life for a reason.
Yeah, and I think we can have a world in which everything's awful, right? 70s New York classic police corruption, mafia, whatever. Everything's awful, and you have one guy with unlimited resources thinking this is the way to fix it. That feels real.
Yeah.
The Joker, as we love him, is so omnipotent and omniscient in his reach and his influence that it stretches, like it even stretches Batman, right? Like, and of course, like, you know, the Joker origin and all of that, it doesn't feel right. It's not there with the mythos of the character, but this is, right? People have put side by side shots of Seven and then and Batman and you know, the Batman trailer, and it's very jarring how inspired it is. Like, but you can plop Batman in a David Fincher film and he feels like he belongs there. Like, I can't say that about the Joker.
Right. And to top it off, and I told you this, Ariel, this feels like the version of Gotham that people think Nolan gave us.
Yeah. Nolan changed Gotham to fit his narratives. And we mentioned this off air. It never felt like Gotham was a character in a way that, like, Wakanda felt like a character in Black Panther.
Yeah. Also, speaking of year 2, Ariel, we did get a little bit of information on the questionable decision to have an HBO Max prequel series.
Yes. So the prequel series will be chronicling year 1, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. It's going to be year 1 from the point of view of the PD. But
according to Reeves, the point of the series is that they are corrupt.
Yes.
Now, I don't want cop shows because at some point there will be a quote-unquote good cop, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that is the way to do Gotham. I do like that about this Gotham. I think the Riddler is implying in the trailer that the government is incredibly corrupt. We were told that in the Nolan movies, but it was like the D plot. I think this is the A plot.
Yeah. And the other thing here, and I kind of realized this show does not work if Jeffrey Wright is not in it.
Yeah. So, and have you read Batman Year One?
Yes, I have.
It features a, you know, Lieutenant Gordon that transfers into Gotham
because of his own personal failings.
Right. And he has to deal with everyone being corrupt around him.
Yeah. I want that so bad.
Yeah. And, you know, the idea that there are no good cops, right? Because a good cop would quit. He feels compelled to stay because Batman shows up. Right. He feels he can fix it because he feels he can fix it with Batman.
Yeah. And and because Jeffrey Wright does do HBO TV shows, I think he would be able to do a mini series like this. I think that would be great. Sure. And you could also, you know, just little quips of like, the Falcone family got attacked. You know, oh great, there goes all my bribe, you know, all my kickback money or something. Like, you can see that in the background and you almost never have to see Batman. This could be good. It could be good.
Sure. Yeah. Any other thoughts you have on this Batman trailer?
No, I just also thought this is the right song to use for this trailer.
Yeah, it was very good. My last thought is I like the idea that in year two that the Riddler is definitively smarter than Batman, and you are taking kind of the mythological heights that Batman is currently at, and bringing him down to a level where he matches his best stories, where he is not the smartest person in the room. He is the most enduring. He is the most driven. And he uses other things besides his prep time and his smarts to win, to win against his adversaries.
You mean to defeat a god?
It's so... Oh, gosh. I have a whole thing about, deicide. I was talking about in the Avatar show, in the Avatar pod we just released. But yeah, I am very excited. I think that people who are just going out and saying, "Oh, it's just dark and gritty again," like, this is the first time I've ever felt that it was dark and gritty for a purpose and within character.
Yeah. Man, I'm really trying to think, like, this is a Gotham. I really think it feels as dirty as the Burton Gotham, but as realistic and lived in, or as realistic as Nolan wanted it to be.
I felt like Burton's Gotham was theatrical.
Yes. Burton's Gotham is very over the top and Art Deco, and there's something larger than life about it. But this feels like, oh, it's an actual setting that people would live in, but Burton's Gotham was dirty and Nolan's wasn't, and this feels dirty.
And Nolan's Gotham,
so happy.
If you rewatch Batman Begins, it only feels dirty because everyone around you is saying, look at how dirty this city is.
Yeah.
That's the whole thesis, right? It's like Katie Holmes thinks Gotham's dirty, and Ra's al Ghul thinks Gotham is dirty, and the ugly cop thinks Gotham is dirty. And then you look at it and you're like, I don't know, it just looks like a city to me.
Yeah, it just looks really gray. I think you're confusing gray with dirty.
Yeah, it just looks like a Zack Snyder backdrop or something. That is everything we got for DC Fandome. Andy, did you have any closing thoughts?
No. I'll do my closing thoughts and homework.
All right. Well, let's get to homework. Andy, what do you got?
All right. Got 2 panels for people to watch. One, the Harley Quinn Q&A with the animated Harley Quinn. It's about 5 minutes long, and it's really funny. And 2, there is a panel called Beyond Batman that features some... It features the voice cast of Batman Beyond and some special surprises, and I highly recommend you watch both of those. They're about 5 minutes each.
All right. My homework is to brush up on your Batman comics. I think to get the vibe of what we're getting in the Batman, I'm going to give a 3-pronged homework. 1, go watch Seven, which is a film by David Fincher. Read Batman Year One to understand the origins perhaps behind Selena Kyle and Jim Gordon, and go read Batman Earth One, which is to perhaps take a look at the level of violence and depravity that we will see in Gotham City. So those are the 3 things that I think will define this Batman film. Batman Earth One, Batman Year One, I know it's confusing, and go watch Seven, which I recently watched. Very good. But you can very clearly see that kind of serial killer, Zodiac killer influence behind this upcoming Batman film.
Yeah. And also, I think Year One is probably the best Frank Miller Batman story. Okay.
Yeah. I don't like The Dark Knight Returns.
I don't like it anymore. The idea was cool when I was 20.
Right, when it came out, and then you look back and you're just like, it was a good pivot point, I think. Like, I think we needed it to move Batman a different direction. But I don't know how great it is as a thing. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no. It's whatever. It's just one of those things. Things don't stand the test of time, Ariel.
Yeah, a lot of
but
things.
But this podcast will.
Certainly will. Especially the Geek 101 podcast. That will certainly stand the test of time, and not just the next few weeks. Next week, we will be having our last episode as the Geek 101 brand, but the feed will still be active. Do not unsubscribe. We'll be covering Scott Pilgrim versus the World for real this time. Unless
Famous
Marvel
last words, Ariel.
Yeah, I know. Unless Marvel decides to drop their own news, Marvel fan field. But Andy, where can we find you online?
You can find me online on Twitter and Letterboxd at Hebrews Pale Ale.
Or you can find me at Portly Island Boy. You can find us at Geek101 Podcast on Twitter and Facebook. Email us geek101pod@gmail.com. That's the way for today. Class dismissed.